everyone, in this video we are going to be going through some Schroth basics. So if you're new to Schroth or you want a review of the Schroth method and some of its main principles, this is the perfect video for you to start with. I'll be talking a little bit about some of the different equipment that we sometimes use, but it is optional. So if you haven't been shown the use of equipment in your therapy sessions, that's fine. You can do all of these things without equipment too. So we're going to be going through the 5 basic Schroth positions, which are supine, prone on knees, side lying, sitting, and standing. And I'll be giving you some instruction for each position. And we're going to start in supine. So this is where, if you've been shown how to use the traction belt and hip strap and bean bags, you'd want to get those out and get them ready. I'm going to go ahead and show you that setup. If you haven't used these pieces of equipment before, you just skip this part and you won't use the props. So I have here a traction belt. You can also do this using a door anchor. So instead of using the stall bar as your anchor point, you may have a door anchor that has a button with a little loop coming out. You can get those from our clinic if you don't have one. And then you're going to go ahead and take this traction belt, run it through either your loop on the door anchor or around the stall bar if you're using the set of bars. And then we'll grab your hip strap here too. I like to take the hip strap and run it through the traction belt and kind of get everything laid out here on my mat before I get started, because it just makes it a little easier to get in the best position. So I'm going to set that up. Then I'm going to grab my bean bags, and everyone's going to need a different number, shape, positioning for your bean bags. So this is where you really want to go back to what you were shown for your specific curve. And again, if you didn't use these props, that's absolutely fine as well. For my specific curve, I'm just going to be using one wedge-shaped bean bag. And so once you have your props and you have your bean bags nearby if you need them, you're going to go ahead and sit down on the traction belt just right beneath the hip strap, so that's just coming out right behind you. And then you're going to go ahead and take that hip strap, bring it low and snug around your hips here. Lie down on your back. When you lie down, there are a few things that you want to be checking for. You want to check the position of the traction belt on the hip strap. So for me, I want this nice and centered. Some of you may offset that too, so just do what you've been shown. So I'm going to center that hip strap. And then you want to go ahead and make sure that you're starting to think about your alignment in this position before you even begin. So first, we're going to try to get nice and lengthened and elongated here on the mat. You're going to give yourself a little bit of a bear hug, wiggle back until you are nice and lengthened here. Then you're going to start thinking about checking your alignment. So I like to think nose and belly button in a nice straight line. So your hips and your trunk are stacked. You can think about having equal spacing between the top of your hip, bottom of your rib cage. Once you've done that and you feel like you're in a good position, you can go ahead and take your props and put them in place. So I'm going to be sticking my wedge bean bag over here on my right side. So you can just tuck that in where you need it. And again, this is going to be very unique to you. And if you haven't been shown this, you don't need to use the pads or the hip strap or the traction belt. You can just be in this position. And your leg position is the same here. So if you've been shown to keep your feet like this, both knees bent, feet flat on the ground, that's fine. If you've been shown to extend one leg out straight, that's fine. So there's a lot of variations here. You want to do what you've been shown by your therapist. And then we're going to go ahead and bring fingertips up to shoulders for now. So once you are in your supine setup, you're going to start with your first breath. Inhale, lengthen and expand globally. As you exhale, press your elbows wide, press your head and hips to opposite directions, and then bring some attention to the concavities of your back. Inhale, forward and upward, away from the pads, out and back towards the ground on the opposite side. As you exhale, press your elbows wide, press your head and hips opposite directions. Inhale, bringing your convexity or prominence forward and upward, out and back on the concavity. As you exhale, elbows wide, head and hips opposite directions. Keep pressure and tension. Try not to lose that correction, but to get even more on your next breath. Inhale again, forward and up, out and back. As you exhale, hold it there. Don't collapse. Keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. We're going to do about 3 more breaths. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold that correction. Inhale again, forward and up, away from the pad, out and back towards the ground on the opposite side. If you have one leg extended, you can think about pressing your heel to the wall, elbows wide, head and hips opposite directions. You're creating lots of pressure and tension here to help you get into a maximum correction. Inhale again, lengthen, expand, and open. Exhale, hold it there. Keep pressure and tension. Keep your neck relaxed, face relaxed. Good. Let's do 2 more breaths. Inhale, forward and up, out and back. Exhale, hold it right there. Don't collapse. Keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. And exhale, push, elbows wide, keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Take just a couple of breaths naturally. Hold that correction. You can bring your arms down to your sides. We're going to go ahead and bring your extended leg up to match the other leg. If you already had your feet like this is fine. And then we're going to add just a little bit of integration movement. And the goal here is going to be to maintain the correction through your curve. Keep that concavity expanded. Don't go back into your curve pattern as you start to add a little bit more dynamic movement. And we're going to start with just a bridge exercise. So inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. On your exhale, squeeze your core, squeeze your glutes. Lift your hips up into the air. Hold this lifted position for a full inhalation and exhalation if you can. And then when you're ready to inhale again, lower back down. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. And exhale and lift. Keep that positioning. Try to keep your pelvis nice and level. Try to maintain equal space, top of your hips, bottom of your rib cage. Core is engaged, glutes are engaged, neck and face are relaxed. We're going to do 1 more here. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. And then exhale and lift. Squeeze your core, squeeze your glutes. Try to make sure your right and your left leg are working equally. Core is active, neck is relaxed, face is relaxed. Holding your hips as level as you can. And then go ahead and lower back down. Reset, check your alignment. Check your nose and belly button, they should still be lining up. Lots of space between top of your hip, bottom of your rib cage here. Make sure you're still in your nice lengthened position. And then we are going to sit up and switch into our prone on knees position. So I'm going to go ahead and roll to my side. Come on up into sitting. As you transition through sitting, it's always an opportunity to focus on integrating that corrected posture into how you sit and how you stand. So if you're comfortable sitting flat on the ground, you can sit cross-legged, you can sit on your feet. So however you're comfortable sitting is fine, but just take a moment here, take a couple of breaths. Try to think about maintaining ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, equal weight through your sit bones, sitting nice and tall, lengthening and open through the concavities of your back, that nice equal spacing, lots of space through each and every rib. And just taking that little active rest break. And then we're going to switch into prone on knees. If you're using equipment, we're gonna have to rearrange it a little bit. So I'm gonna unstrap my hip strap and move this. So when you're in supine, the traction belt tends to get anchored really low since your hips are on the ground, so just a few inches off the ground is fine. When you switch into prone on knees, we're gonna go ahead and bring that up so it's at the height of your pelvis or even just a little bit higher when you're on hands and knees. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my anchor point up. If you're using that door anchor, you can slide it up in your door jamb and readjust there. Once you've got that anchor point set up, you can go ahead and run your hip strap back through that belt. And if you are using props in this position, you can go ahead and get them set up. Sometimes putting a pad underneath your elbows helps take some stress off your shoulders. It usually helps me a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, but you might not need it. So if you don't have props here, that's just fine. And we're gonna take that hip strap and fasten it nice and low and snug here around your hips. Again, you're checking for the positioning of your belt in the back. It's either gonna be centered or offset just a little bit based on your curve pattern. Once you've got it on, you can walk forward on your knees until you feel that strap stop you. A good way to tell is if you're gonna be in good alignment to start is to see if you can hinge forward at your hips without falling over. If you feel like you have to lift your feet up a lot or you're gonna lose your balance, you might wanna walk your knees just that little bit extra forward, so when you hinge forward, you're nice and stable, and then you know you're in a pretty good position with ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. And so then you're gonna come down onto your hands and knees, knees right underneath your hips, hands right underneath your shoulders. And we're gonna go ahead and turn your palms inward so your pinkies touch and your thumbs touch. And you're making these nice little triangles with your hands here. You're gonna lower down onto your elbows. If you're using those pads, you can put one under each elbow. If not, that's just fine too. And again, you can do the same position without the traction belt or the hip strap. You're gonna start with your first breath. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. And then as you exhale, hold that position, keep pressure and tension. Inhale, moving your prominence down towards the ground, concavity up towards the ceiling. Keep your face relaxed, neck relaxed. Try not to rotate through your shoulders here. Exhale, hold that position. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open even more. As you exhale, press your head and hips opposite directions. Keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Inhale, lengthen, expand, open even more. And then exhale, hold it there, don't change anything. Keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. Exhale, hold it right there, don't collapse, keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. One more breath. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. And then exhale, elbows wide, head and hips opposite directions. Keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Take a couple of breaths naturally. You can come back up onto hands and knees. Hands right under shoulders, knees right under your hips here. Check that you're in good alignment. And again, we are gonna add just a little bit of integration movement. And we're gonna be extending our arms and then legs here. So you're gonna start by inhaling and extending one arm forward. And then exhaling, lowering it down. Inhale, extend your other arm forward. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, if that felt okay, you can try extending one leg out back straight behind you. And then exhale, bring it back in. Inhale and extend. Exhale, bring it back in. We're gonna do that round one more time. Inhale and extend. Exhale, come back down. Inhale and extend. Exhale, come back down. We are going for stability maintaining correction through your trunk. Try not to lose that nice expansion through your concavities. Your neck stays a continuation of the rest of your spine. You can follow your own breath, then come back to center, reset, and we're gonna come back up into sitting to switch positions again. So this time I'll be sitting back on my heels, but same thing as before. You're trying to find that nice position where you can just take a moment, a little active rest break to let that correction sink in. And you're thinking about ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, sitting nice and tall, taking just a couple of breaths naturally, and then we are coming right into our side lying position next. So again, we're gonna go ahead and rearrange our equipment just a little bit. So I'm gonna take this hip strap off. And we're gonna come back down into our side lying position. So we're gonna move your anchor point back down to the ground. And we're gonna bring it down here. So just like with the other positions, there's some variations with side lying. Depending on your curve pattern, you might be lying on either your left side or your right side. Most curve patterns, you tend to lie on your left side. So you're thinking your prominent side down for the most part. That's not 100% true, so you want to remember what you've been told. But for a lot of us, that's the case. And so for me, I'm actually one of those individuals who tends to lie on their right side, but I'm gonna lie on my left today since that's just a little bit more common. So you can use some props. I think one of the most important things is to make sure that your neck is able to stay that nice continuation of the rest of your spine. And so I like to use either a yoga block or a pillow or something for support there so you're not lying on your side with your neck in a difficult position. And then you can use some pads, again, under your prominence if you've been shown to do that. I'm not gonna put pads in place because this is actually not my, my correction, and so it won't really help me out very much. And so you're gonna sit on that strap there, bring that belt nice and low and snug around. Same thing, you're gonna lie back and get your props in the right position so that you can have the support underneath your neck here. Kind of wiggle back, get that tension. When you come into side lying, thinking about your alignment is important. You want to try to keep your hips stacked in this nice line, so one hip on top of the other, same with your shoulders here. Your bottom leg you can keep bent to give you a little stability. Depending on your curve pattern, you might either prop that top leg up on a little bit of support like a stool or a yoga block, or you might just leave it down on the ground. So you really need to go back and remember what your therapist showed you for this position. That's going to be important to getting the best correction you can. Once you're here, we're going to go ahead and bring your fingertips up to your shoulder, elbow pressing up towards the ceiling. And so for most people, this is going to mean that this is your concavity and this is the space that you're working on. Or it could be that you've got a thoracic curve too, and this is your concavity over here that you're working on. So left side lying is probably where most of you are going to be. And then you're going to start with your next breath, inhaling, lengthening, expanding, and opening. As you exhale, pressing your elbow to the ceiling, keeping that pressure and tension here. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open again. And then exhale and push, hold it there, don't collapse, keep pressure. Keep tension, maintain. Inhale, lengthen, expand, open even more. And then exhale and push, elbow to the ceiling, hold it there, don't collapse, keep that pressure and tension. Inhale, lengthen, expand, open even more. On your exhale, you can think about pressing your heel to the wall, head and hips opposite directions, stay tall, stay wide. A few more breaths. Inhale, lengthen, and expand. And exhale, hold it there, don't collapse, keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Inhale, lengthen, expand again. Exhale, hold it there, don't change anything, keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. We're gonna add just a little bit of movement from right here. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. As you exhale, float that top leg, hold it up just a little bit, maybe 4 to 6 inches up off the ground. Inhale, lower back down, and exhale and lift. You can follow your own breath for a few breaths. Inhale and lower, exhale and lift. Keep it going. Inhale and lower, exhale and lift. One more. Inhale, lower down, exhale and lift. You can come back down into your side lying position. Take a couple of breaths naturally. Once again, we're going to come up into a sitting position. So you could do this sitting in a chair. You could do this sitting flat on the ground. We're going to stay in this position just a little bit longer, so you do want to get comfortable. You can take your hip strap traction belt off, and you can kind of find the way that you like to sit. For a lot of us, especially adults, sitting flat on the ground is hard to keep your lumbar spine in a nice position. So sitting on a little cushion or a chair can be really helpful. For some people, it's okay if they're sitting just pretzel style on the floor, or even sitting back on their heels, and that works. The main thing is that you want to make sure that you can keep your spine in a nice neutral position. And for a lot of us, if we come and just sit flat on the floor, we end up rounding just a little bit too much through our low back, and it's hard to get into a nice correction. So I'm going to go ahead and sit on this yoga pillow because it helps to get my hips in a better position. So find your best sitting alignment. Think about sitting with equal weight through your sit bones, sitting up nice and tall, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles, equal space between top of your hips, bottom of your rib cage. So you're already kind of working in this position. It shouldn't feel uncomfortable, but it might feel just a little bit different from how you normally sit. And then we're going to bring fingertips up to your shoulders here. And you're going to go ahead and inhale for your first breath, lengthening, growing tall and wide. As you exhale, press your elbows wide, press your head and hips in opposite directions. Inhale, lengthen, expand, open even more. And exhale, hold it there, don't collapse. Keep that pressure and tension. Inhale, growing tall and wide. Exhale, don't collapse, keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Inhale, lengthen, expand, open even more. And then exhale and push, elbows wide, head and hips opposite directions. Hold it right there. Inhale, lengthen, expand again, bringing your prominence forward and upward, concavity out and back. As you exhale, elbows wide, head and hips opposite directions. Try not to let your shoulders move. Try not to let your hips move. Inhale, lengthen, expand, open even more. And then exhale, hold it right there. Don't collapse. Keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. One more breath. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. And exhale, push, elbows wide, head and hips opposite directions. Hold it right there. Don't change anything. Keep that pressure and tension. We're going to take a couple of breaths naturally. Lower your hands down to your lap. We're going to add that little integration movement. We're just going to do little arm circles coming up, only lifting as high as you can without changing the position of your trunk. If you start to go too high and you feel like you're arching through your low back, then just stop a little bit before that point. And come back down. We're going to do one more time. So this is really just trying to get your body to adapt this new corrected posture and be able to do movement from that position without defaulting to your curve pattern. So that's really the goal with these types of movements. It's coordination, it's muscle re-education, and then come back down. Take a couple of breaths naturally, and we are on to our last position, which is standing. So we're going to come up into standing and find your best standing position. equal weight through your feet. You always want to think about bringing your pelvis to midline. So if you know you shift your hips to the left or to the right, you need to pull them underneath your trunk. And think about the positioning of your feet here as well. It's really important that you have a solid base of support. So you want to make sure that you've got your feet right underneath your hips too, and that you don't have one leg kind of out to the side, but that you're bringing it under so you have this solid base of support to work from. You can even think about keeping weight on your big toe just a little bit, and that's going to help you stay grounded. And then you're going to inhale, lengthen and grow tall. Think about lining up nose over belly button, that equal spacing, top of your hips, bottom of your rib cage, and all throughout each and every rib. We'll bring fingertips up to your shoulders again. You're going to start with your first breath. Inhale, lengthen and expand. As you exhale, press your elbows wide, press your head and hips in opposite directions. Keep that pressure and tension here. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open even more. And then exhale, hold it right there. Keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Inhale, lengthen, expand, and open. Grow tall, grow wide. Exhale, push, elbows wide, head and hips opposite directions. Inhale, lengthen, expand, open even more. Exhale, hold it right there. Don't collapse. Keep pressure, keep tension, maintain. Inhale, lengthen, expand, open even more. Exhale, elbows wide, head and hips opposite directions. Keep that pressure and tension. One last breath. Inhale, lengthen and expand. Exhale, hold it there. Keep pressure and tension. Don't collapse down. Hold on to this positioning through your trunk. We're going to bring your hands down to your sides, and we're just going to do a little squat here for our integration movement. The main thing that we're watching is that you keep your hips midline. They're not drifting right or left, and that you're keeping good alignment from the side. So feet about hips width apart. You can reach your arms forward. You're going to send your hips back, squat down just as far as you can comfortably. As you stand back up, reset, check that you're still in that best alignment, that you didn't go into your curve pattern. Squat again. Come back up, reset. Pelvis is midline. You're keeping that equal weight through your feet. We'll just do one more. Squatting back down, standing back up. Find your best standing position one more time from the side, thinking ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles. Your rib cage and your pelvis should be stacked right on top of each other. You have a nice, long, neutral spine. And that is all of the Schroth basic positions. You will see variations of these, but that is the core of it. If you have questions about those positions or you're not quite sure what to do, I would reach back out to your physical therapist directly and find out what are the special things that you need to do for your curve, because there are some unique variations. If that felt good to you and you feel like you have a solid understanding there, try out some of the other videos where there's some more challenging movements and a few more variations and fun ideas added. Thanks.